And we appear to be live from Points Beyond in Europe. It's your pals, Jason and Keith, streaming live on our Facebook page and starting out the audio podcast with Keith laughing and being gleeful about what I titled just the online broadcast, which is I Got Mine. So we'll explain that more later. But we are here for your Saturday, I guess, afternoon for most of our friends in the eastern part of the United States. But for us, it's 9 o'clock in the evening. And Keith is having a beer that I recommended, which I believe he likes. It's a substitute for the beer that we usually buy, which is for some reason gone out of print. Hopefully we'll come back once the pandemic stops. Yes?
I did ask the guy at the Class 6.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And he says yes. I was surprised we can't find it. It just appears sometimes and disappears and appears. So just keep checking is what he said.
Yeah, I think it's maybe, again, they just went coronavirus into a coronavirus hole and they are stopped there. So
11% alcohol will kill the virus.
11% alcohol will do a lot of really good things in about an hour and 15 minutes. You're not going to be awake. That's good stuff. So it's been another fantastic, partial week since Tuesday at least, and we have been busy. Well, I have been busy. What about you? What have you been up to?
Well, no, I have too. I have as well. I've taken 2 drinks. I swear to God. No, it's been a busy week. The normal weekly things that have to go on with. We write. I say we write the talking points for the command team. We write the weekly highlight things that go out to the workforce every Friday.
Right.
And there's some other things, along with the social media aspect of it, which our coworker handles most of that.
Right.
And does a fantastic job of it. I'm learning to be the webmaster kind of thing and writing stories. So go ahead.
That was very sort of dojo, like Chinese kung fu film, like 70s. I am learning to become the master like that.
Well, that's the way I feel. I'm learning from a rocket scientist. Basically,
she's good.
She's a rock'em sock'em robot, and then there's me, and I am not as such. But I'm learning and doing a lot of things that I couldn't do.
You'll get
when we first got here.
And then I'm gonna learn you up on Hootsuite so you can update the show's various social media channels, and you're gonna be like, why aren't you using this thing all the time for what we do? And there's reasons, but they just introduced something new Thursday or Friday to get you training on something called Sprinkler, which sounds dirty, but we'll see how it works out.
I purposely did not. If the boss is listening, I purposely did not reply to that email.
I don't think he's listening
because I thought, great, one more friggin' thing to learn.
I think he's much better at just on Friday, just sort of going into his fortress of solitude and then reemerging Monday morning at 8:00. He's much better at that than I am. I tend to want to do podcasts and stuff. So I think that's just you and I who like to keep ourselves public on the weekend. Although I have learned not to look at my business phone as much lately, so
I don't even have one, and I had one for a long time.
Well, I mean, business stuff. I'm sorry, I don't have one either.
Oh, okay.
I did at the VA though. I had actually 2. I had a phone and an iPad, and the iPad was easier because I didn't get any calls on the phone. I had, for what I needed to do, everybody who needed to contact me had my personal number because when I got there, I didn't have a phone. So by the time I eventually they got around to giving me a device, I chose the iPad because literally hundreds of people had my personal phone number, including media people. And I just continued to say, call that number if you need me. We'll take care of you one way or the other. If you decide to come on live, no one has, by the way. But if you're here, you can enter your comments, and I've actually got the tab up, and I will promise I will comment alongside you, and we will do that. But we appreciate it.
A number of likes on our page. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, the download numbers are going up. Let me look at those real quick. I'm not going to say them live, but I haven't looked at them lately. But I will. I'll put a. We'll figure it out. But let me see what they are right now. Dun, 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 dun. I don't think they're in the teens anymore. I think they're in the 40s and 50s now, which is good. It's incremental. We're not going to go viral like
that's all we can ask
the
for.
Plandemic video, but steady, steady as they go on the on the sides, and now they count the Spotify listens to our show. But yeah, it's definitely steady. So the curve was kind of, if you can't see this, but if you're watching at home, it was like this to kind of when we first got started. But now it's kind of up here and steadying, and then when we have a release date, it goes like this, and then kind of steadies off. So that's good news. It's slow, it's incremental growth, but we're growing. We're growing. I think he must be growing. I know we
have a new listener in Matt Davis.
It's right. Matt Davis is tuning us in.
He's also works in our building, so thanks to him, and he's quick to give us feedback as well, and we really appreciate that. Whatever you think, I don't care if we agree with you or not.
Yeah.
We like to hear the feedback. Now, if you write us too hard, well, we'll delete you. But whatever.
Matt and Darren,
we appreciate the feedback.
Matt and Darren could have a listen party. That'd be cool.
6 feet apart.
I'm bummed we're going to lose Darren, but he can still listen to the podcast from wherever. I forget where he's going. He's going to your place. How about that? I didn't forget. I was setting you up for a home run there.
Yeah. He's going to Fort Sill. He's going to work in the same building I worked in.
Is he really the same building? Wow.
Know, yes. Yeah. Agree. He's going to work with a great guy there and do lots of good things. And that's working for the 2-star.
That's not a bad deal.
The Fire Center of Excellence Commander.
Fire.
So I think he'll enjoy that.
That's my way of sneaking in music to the show. Is every time you remind me of a song, I sing it out loud. So he said he was at Fort Sill as a young lad, I think, too.
I think he's a field artillery guy. So he's a field artillery guy. He went to not only basic training there, but what the Army calls AIT, what the Air Force calls tech school.
Right.
So that's also at Fort Sill if you're a field artillery guy.
It's really weird. There's a lot of places that the Army people can go for basic training, I think, right? Aren't there a lot of forts that people go? But
there are five.
Oh, there's five. Okay.
Basic training places.
See, that's weird to me because there's only one in the Air Force, and that is the venerable Lackland Air Force Base. I want to know, and I wanted to bring this up. I want to know. Tell me in a nutshell, what do you think Space Force basic training is going to be like? Now we know initially it's going to be
the Vomit Comet.
It's going to be Air Force basic training, which is, I think at the moment it's either 11 weeks or 12 weeks, and that happens at Lackland Air Force Base, and it's the break you down, build you up like any basic training is. If you're not familiar with military basic training, let me run it down for you. So I did it, let's see, we're coming up on November of 2020. So I did it 33 years ago. God bless. All right, so 32 and a half years ago, I went to basic training at Lackland, got off a bus at like midnight. And it's essentially a process of each week them breaking you down, and then at some point you start to build up, you start to get responsibilities, they shave your head, put on a uniform, all that stuff. And that process has varied for the Air Force over the years, as it has for every service, because basic training is about money. So occasionally they will shave off a week to save money, and sometimes they will add the week back on. Like when they created the Crucible, I think it's still called, where they sort of take people out in the field and they make them run through the mud and earn their U.S. insignia for their uniform. I think that's what they do. For the Marines, it's the anchor and globe thing. That's a week they added on, but they have at one point I think Air Force basic training was like 8 weeks. At one point I think as lean as it was 6 weeks, which was weird because I think I went through the 8-week version, and when I got to tech school, my tech school was 12 weeks, and there was no basic training there. In fact, we went to a tech school that had essentially, I don't want to say, when you go to a tech school, a technical school, to learn your skill outside of what you do within your rank, that is a certain amount of time. So if you are a linguist, someone who translates or interprets languages for the military, you go to a school in Monterey, California, and you're there for like a year and a half. If you're going to be a combat controller, which is kind of an Air Force Special Forces-y thing, you go to many different schools for like a year and a half before you go into action. I think that's right. And then there's other places that are like 2 weeks long, and you get out and you go do your job. So it was always funny to me that my technical school was 11 weeks, and my basic training was 6 or 8 weeks. I can never remember. I think it's 8. But the funny part of that was at technical school, now what they're trying to do is you're amped up from basic training, and they want to sort of bring you down, right? They want to bring you sort of back to reality, like like a normalcy. So you're yes sir, 3 bags full when you get out of basic training, and you're reminiscing about how cool it was to be treated like shit. So for the first couple of weeks, you are in a certain status where you have to wear your uniform all the time. You can only go to certain places. And then the next couple of weeks after that, they ease that. You can wear your civilian clothes to different places, and you can go phases, right? So then the third phase, and there may be a fourth phase, but the third phase is mostly like you are in the service at that time. My tech school had none of those things. None of it. It was basically I showed up and it was like living in a hotel for 11 weeks. And it was oh, wow. The women lived on the same hall that we did, and the Navy was upstairs, and you could come and go as you please, and it was a whole different deal. So anyway, rounding back to my original thing, what do you think, what sort of exercises do you do for Space Force?
I think you get used to elastic bands because that's the resistance, quote unquote, weight training when you're in a
we're just assuming they're all going to be in space.
Weightless, yeah. I'm telling you, if I can be a public affairs guy for the Space Force and go
floating
up,
around.
I'm there, man. I am there. Breaking news. I hate to break in though. Breaking news coming off right now.
Yeah.
Fucking 2020, man. I'm telling you.
What?
Fred Willard. Passed.
Fred Willard is an icon.
He is. And anything, and he can do a guest spot somewhere. And you go, oh, Fred Willard. That's awesome. Fred Willard.
You knew Fred Willard. He's been there. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
You would know him if you saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Willard, Best in Show, A Mighty Wind.
Best in Show.
He's been in a lot of things where he plays somebody's dad lately, within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He's been on almost every sitcom playing a dad or a grandfather or something like that.
He is a well-liked member.
Willard.
He is well-liked. He got work. I mean, he's a funny dude. That's too bad. What did you say it was, 87?
86.
I knew he was older. Fred Willard, man, that's sad. I remember him from Best in Show. He was... Well, the movie's amazing. Christopher Guest, that's amazingly... it has the best throwaway line, one of the best ever, where they're having this discussion in the hotel room, and he's in a kimono, and he's packing kimonos, and he goes... he says something like, so you're going to bring 7 kimonos? That's 7 kimonos. And the other guy goes, you think I should bring 8? I don't know why that's funny to me, but it's absolutely hilarious to me. Fred Willard is he was. I bet he was supposed to be in Dodgeball with Jason Bateman, and probably couldn't do it because that's such his personality. Being ridiculous, saying ridiculous things, and hey, there's my dad's online. Hi, Dad, love you so much. Afternoon sun, looking aged. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. That's a mean comment. Why did my dad get to say that? I look good. Just these bags under my eyes.
That's. Your dad said that about you?
He said, afternoon, my son, looking aged. But then he put an LOL after it, so we got some from. And John B. said he just posted a clip from Best in Shows. So Willard was great at sort of delivering the straight man.
Yes.
Like he was a mix of like a really good straight man, but then he would say something really absurd, and you'd be like, that's pretty funny. And he was really good at that. Like he was great in Anchorman for doing the same thing, but he was more straight man there. But for Best in Show, it was, you weren't expecting him to say what he said, but he's great. That's too bad. That's sad to see him go.
Sorry to break in there. I just wanted, breaking news, Fred Willard, great comedic actor.
All right. So for the 5 of you who are watching right now, we need to know what exercises people would do, are going to do in Space Force basic training. We need to know how you get in shape for Space Force. Now, again, we predicated this by saying it's going to be Air Force basic training first. So that means cable TV, nice comfortable beds. But so now what will be the Space Force calisthenics?
It's got to involve the vomit comet.
Yeah, I would think so. That everybody gets to ride the vomit comet. Like at the Air Force Academy, everybody gets to pilot a glider or jump out of a plane with a parachute. I think that would be fair.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're going to be in the Space Force, the whole theory behind Space Force is eventually you're going to have to go into space. Right? I mean, that's what you think. So you have to ride the vomit comet. For those who don't know, The Vomit Comet is an airliner that's had all the seats. Basically, it's a hollow tube.
Right.
And it goes up and up and up and then tips its nose over and comes down really fast.
Right.
And for that 3 minutes or whatever it is, you're weightless.
Yep.
So you get to feel what being weightless is about. And you do that over and over and over. So you can imagine why they call it the Vomit Comet.
You know what's banging right now? The subtitles on YouTube. They're absolutely getting every word you're saying right. That's pretty impressive. It said Vomit Comet. I'm like, it's pretty good. I'm very surprised at how far subtitles have come.
Well.
My dad said one of the exercises. My dad said one of the exercises they will do is bitch about what you have to do. That's pretty much ingrained with every basic training, I think, across the board. John Beamer said we're supposed to have a live show tonight at 8 p.m. on our page. BS Productions, Cody Newby, and Lynn Moon will be live. So if you like live music, live acoustic music, please join them. John, post your page so the people in the comments can see it.
Look at Beamer,
and we'll post. We'll whore out for him. What the hell? And we'll post it on the show page so people can see that there. So yeah, I'm in. Whatever.
All right.
Maybe he can reciprocate in between tunes. He can say, "Hey, don't forget this awesome podcast that my brother and his friend do over in Europe, and it's on during a part of the day that we can watch and drink." See, this is a good. This is good. The live show is good for like if you're barbecuing outside, you could just put us on like an iPad and have us around, and we can help teach you how to cook and things like that. So good to have my dad here. Now I can say really off color things, and he'll laugh and laugh and laugh. So that's pretty funny. So we went to Mines today. So that's right. So we got out of the house. So if you, I think Dad saw the photos, but if you're, John B probably saw too. But Mainz, Germany is the capital of the state that we're in. That's probably the first thing to note. It's not a huge town. It's 200,000 people. It's right by the river. So 200,000. That's not a lot. It's maybe more like, I don't know.
Oh.
It's a 200,000. It's not a huge city, but it's pretty big. I mean, it's got some good stuff. So this was our first sort of what Dee likes to call adventures, which is fair because a lot of people who follow me on Facebook know that pretty much if it's a Saturday, we are getting in the car and going somewhere that is not close to here. And we get out of the car and we eat some food and we shoot photos and we do, visit the churches and do all that. So that's pretty much a solid Saturday for us, right? So drive up to Mainz, which is 86 kilometers from the location. And
so just within the 100 kilometer limit.
Even more so, yeah. It's pretty close. And let me take a drink. So we didn't have any plan. We usually don't. I mean, sometimes we do. The original plan was apparently in Mainz they offer these little go-karty cars that you can drive around town in, and we were going to do that, but Annabelle can't do it because she doesn't have a license. So we're like, all right, we can't do that. So we just said we'll get up on Saturday and we'll wing it and we'll go. So we got up this morning, and I think we headed out about 11. Got there. But the key thing though is, and I don't know, you have to tell me how you do. Do you ever get hangry?
Before I get hangry, my sugar ends up getting low.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily get hangry, but I get low blood sugar mad. I turn into even more of an asshole when my blood sugar gets low.
Yeah. So we were all hangry, like all of us, which makes the end of the part of the car ride really, really pleasant. I was in a mood. Dee Dee was hungry. Dee Dee was hangry. And so we were in the car, and we needed to find a place to park. Now, Mainz, where we were in the old town, where the walk-around is, where the 1,000-year-old cathedral is, parking is tight. You got to find it. But we did manage to find a pretty good space, but you got to look around. And you got to wait around. So we parked, and then it was like, okay, where are we going to eat? So there's a great PJ's here. When you walk around the streets down there. You're just looking for a vibe where to sit, and we weren't sure how relaxed things were. But here's what I'll say about that. And this is my if you're watching or listening, here's my statement on the state of things here in Germany. When we got onto the walking street, there were hundreds and hundreds of people. Almost none of them were wearing masks. And there were tables at cafes, very European sort of cliche thing on the sides, and there were people eating, no masks, and they were spaced apart, and it was great. There were lots of things to do. Lots of things were open. Most of the stores were regulating the number of people inside the store, which I can dig. That's very cool. And then in the square itself, it wasn't crowded at all, so you saw the church and everything else. So we managed to find a place to eat, this Italian place. The food was amazing. It was great to taste great Italian food again, and it was fantastic. We sat and ate and drank beer and drank wine and did that whole thing. And then we walked around a little bit more. There's a church, or I think it's just a church. It's not a cathedral. Might be, yeah, where Marc Chagall, are you familiar with his art?
No.
Okay, good nod, though. So Marc Chagall, famous Russian artist who did some stained glass work for the chapel. We went up there, but both of the churches are closed, needless to say.
Okay.
So that made our visit that much shorter. And so what we managed to do is once we got done with the chapel anyway, it was almost 4 o'clock, and we grabbed some ice cream and we came home. So I think the big takeaway for me was this was the first time, I think, that I've been out and seen in the state that we're in, that wasn't to Globus, the local grocery store, or to the BX or something like that, but the first sort of place we'd been to, and things felt better. They felt open. They felt relaxed. The only thing that still was crisis-y to me was, and they said they were going to do this, so it wasn't like a shock, but when we were eating, just before we ordered drinks, they gave us this piece of paper to write our address and our phone number on, that thing that's like, hey, you dined here, and by the way, you probably caught coronavirus. So
right.
A tracking method. So that was pretty cool. It was a good sort of break from the norm. Now, here's my last comment, and I'm not sure if I've said this on the show, but too many people, and I think I might have said this, so stop me if I have, because you've heard it before, but too many people are calling this the new normal. It is not a new normal. Mm-hmm. We are in a crisis. This is abnormal. This is not normal. If you try to positive this, if you try to Pollyanna this and say, well, I guess this is the new normal, then you're accepting the state that we're in as being what's going to be when we go forward. And that's not the case at all. We are in a temporarily inconvenient crisis with abnormal procedures of wearing masks and putting up giant pieces of plexiglass between us to separate us. This is abnormal. So my opinion is we are coming out of a crisis of being abnormal. That is not a new normal. We will go back to a different normal when we get out of this crisis. But it really bugs me when people call it a new normal. It's like fingers on a chalkboard to me. It's really dumb.
It's a temporary state. That's going to last a lot longer than we had hoped, but it is temporary. And even the senior enlisted person in the Air Force has a show that he's called The New Normal.
Right.
And it's driving me crazy.
Drives me crazy,
now,
too. Yeah, it drives me crazy, too.
The flip side of that, I don't know if you saw our coworkers' WhatsApp this morning.
No. Oh, yes, I did. I did, yes.
The man who is in Kaiserslautern, and remember, Kaiserslautern, for our new listeners who aren't here, is a city of about 100,000 people. And so the man who's in charge of the COVID-19 response popped positive for COVID-19 yesterday.
Right.
So, it's still out there. That's what drives me crazy is it's still out there. And yet now everybody's in a hurry to get back to the way it was.
Right.
I did. I went out into town today, and I had to go to I went to
6 live viewers. We got 6. This will make Colonel Edwards very happy. 6 live viewers.
Why can't I think of the place in the electronics store?
Where? Saturn.
Saturn.
Yeah, the one over by Kentucky Fried Chicken, right?
Yes, I kept wanting to say
Saturn is Germany's version of Best Buy.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
Exactly.
It's pretty well stocked.
So my printer crapped out on me. I need a cartridge, so they didn't have it at the BX. Let me show you my shocked face. And so I went to Saturn, and of course it didn't dawn on me, but everything would be for European printers or the European versions of printers.
Right.
So I bought one. I thought it would work. Of course it didn't. So I just ended up ordering offline. So I go there, and everyone's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
them not the correct way, but everyone's wearing a mask
in some spot on their face.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Now, within the aisles, much like the BX or the commissary, or at home,
8 viewers. We're at 8 viewers. This is exciting.
You're there.
Right.
Yeah, but in line to check out, you have the things on the floor, stay this far apart, and everyone is more or less minding what they're supposed to be doing.
Minding the gap, right.
And that's the only way we're going to make this go away is by doing the smart things.
Right.
Things, as we know here, are opening back up. You've just said that. Mm-hmm. Things back home are opening up.
Right.
We know that. So, and now we're hearing, I just saw a headline today. I didn't go into the whole story, but I saw a headline that the crew on the aircraft carrier where the commander was fired, I don't remember the name of
Theodore Roosevelt.
The Roosevelt, they're people who have had COVID-19 are getting COVID-19 again because they are still stuck on the ship.
Right.
So it's just percolating through there. So anyway,
bummer.
That's that. And we don't want to be on a down note. It's a happy show.
It's a happy show. And this show is called This Show is a JK, which Matt reminded me actually means just kidding, but I've seen people use it as joke. So we'll continue to use it as joke. This show is a joke. If you want to, you can subscribe to our Instagram feed, which is also a joke. It's Real JK Podcast. You can find us on Facebook. That's an easy one. This show is a JK. If you're watching right now, welcome. Thank you for tuning us in. The audio version of this podcast always follows the live show, and I actually managed to record it properly this week. Last week I had to take the feed off of the video, which was fine too. And we are available for subscribing to on Spotify, on iTunes, on Spreaker, and on Google Play, and a couple of other places. And there's a few apps you can put on your phone to get us, aside from the iTunes podcast app. There's something called Podbean and a couple of others. We are bad. We are nationwide. So if you want us, you'll get us, and we're pretty easy to find. So
nationwide.
So
speaking of music, I'm sorry. Did you think you wanted to talk about?
Well, I wanted to talk about. Are you jumping to the bracket already?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, but I've been talking a while, so you go first.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame aired on AFN the other night.
Who got in?
And I wasn't going to watch it, but I sat down to watch it, and I'm glad I did. So the 2019 inductees, which actually aired on HBO late March. So it's a little bit behind here,
like
and
Justin
I know
Timberlake?
AFN is trying to fill time. So the inductees this year, in order that they were called up on stage, were Stevie Nicks.
Good.
The Cure.
Okay, I can buy that.
Janet Jackson.
All right, I'll hold my comment.
Yeah, I think you and I feel the same way about that. Love Janet Jackson, love a lot of her music, but Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Roxy Music.
Yeah, definitely.
See,
I could see how people would be on the fence with that one.
I know the name Roxy Music,
Brian
but
Ferry.
I'm not sure I've ever heard a song from Roxy Music.
Slave to Love is one of the good ones. Right Stuff is another good one. Roxy Music, we'll finish up with the list, and then I'll go over how I feel about this.
Radiohead.
Yep. A little early, but yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, this one goes way back.
Uh-oh.
The Zombies.
Nice. That is an old one.
Yeah. And, I thought, I know something from the doom doom doom, do do do.
It's the time of this. That's the Zombies.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
I thought that was like John B's favorite group, Aaron Burr and the Animals. My dad said Janet Jackson's Hall of Fame is her nipple slip.
Sorry,
my dad would say that.
I'm on video. Hold on.
And he sits and he lives alone, folks. So yeah, good job, Dad. All right, so let's frame this: the Janet Jackson, and who was the other one that we're sort of on the fence with?
I'm sorry, the last one. I'm sorry, the last one, Def Leppard.
Oh, yeah, that's no question.
Yeah. So he said
Janet
Jackson.
There was one other,
and I didn't know who. I mean, I didn't know anything from Roxy Music.
So let me make the case for Roxy Music. Roxy Music has been influential. She's not there, right? Thank you, John. Roxy Music has been influential for a number of bands, up to the biggest one you may know of is old school Genesis, the prog rock Genesis with Peter Gabriel, and even as they transitioned over to pop rock with Phil Collins, they were extremely influential in sort of cultivating the big British push through the 80s and the 90s, in addition to being their own band. Brian Ferry played on a lot of session albums with vocals and pianos. But you'd have to know that in order to get that they'd probably need to be in the Musical Hall of Fame. So I could still see people being on the fence with that one. Even I'm sort of on the fence with that one, but I get it. Janet Jackson is an interesting choice because I can't think of... I mean, she did the Super Bowl. I mean, I suppose that's Hall of Fame worthy. How many other artists have done that? But I can't think of anything more significant.
Nobody could tell you what she's saying.
Well, Rhythm Nation. Rhythm Nation was a big, big album. I remember that. I
love Rhythm Nation.
That was either right as or right after I joined the Air Force. So that was a huge, huge sort of phenomenon produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who I love those guys. I still do. They still do great work.
Now, Control was her first album. So
Control was pretty good.
Off Control.
Control was pretty good.
And then, of course, Rhythm Nation busted out. And like I said, I have Rhythm Nation,
right,
1814 on my phone. But
great album.
Are they? Is it? Well, is her singing career Hall of Fame worthy?
Well, you parsed it out. Is her musical career Hall of Fame worthy? I don't know that she's not any better than Madonna at the singing thing, but in terms of the whole sort of musical thing. Maybe. I mean, the other thing with Control was, I forgot about Control, but that was What Have You Done For Me Lately, which people still say and still sing to this day. So, I mean, I could kind of get, I could still kind of get where, folks are coming from with that. It's just, I never really thought of her musical career in the context of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I get that it's more than rock and roll, and that's not what I'm saying. More the Hall of Fame piece. John B. says, until Warren Zevon gets in, the Rock Hall is invalid. Agree. Werewolves of London is, well, actually a lot of his music's great, but Werewolves of London is the most notable. But yeah, that's an interesting choice with Janet and Roxy Music, just simply because, again, both maybe have had Roxy Music has had more influence, I think, in the music industry versus having hits to us. And Janet Jackson's had mega hits to us, but I think that pretty much sort of stopped after 94, 95. She sort of went on to, what are you laughing about? Oh, no, never mind. I'm looking at the feed. I thought you were laughing live. Never mind. So I'm doing all this production management. I'm like, okay, this is the live one. I got to look at the live one. So anyway, yeah, I don't necessarily just, Stevie Nicks that's a stone cold lock. She was of course, with Lindsey Buckingham, and then joined Fleetwood Mac with Lindsey Buckingham, and then she had a massive solo career from beginning of late 70s until the end. What?
And the show started, ladies and gentlemen, Stevie Nicks. And bam, yeah. And her second or third song, Don Henley came out to do the Tom Petty part. Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
That's a great song.
I think they got a thing going. It was great. Rhiannon, Edge of 17, all that. And with her original band. Not Fleetwood Mac, her original solo band.
Right.
But there were numerous shots of Mick Fleetwood in the audience, and Tommy Iommi, who apparently they shacked up for a while. Stevie and him when they were producing. Anyway, she said, and in her acceptance, she said, "That's what you did back then."
Yeah. Right. And basically Rumors was made on cocaine and hate. So I mean that album in and of itself should have got her to the Hall of Fame. So that's
what is the meme that's going around right now? Oh, you saying Taylor Swift writes songs about her ex-boyfriends.
Oh yeah.
Stevie Nicks made her
ex-boyfriend sing with her
songs she's saying about what an asshole
Yeah, that's such a brilliant meme. Yeah, that is fan-fucking-tastic. Yes. All right.
So The Cure came out and did a set, and I wasn't a big
Friday,
fan.
I'm in love. Like that?
Yeah, that's the one I know. Maybe another one. My ex-wife, I guess she would have been my ex-girlfriend too, but my ex-wife was a big Cure fan.
Okay.
I never got into it. Or Janet Jackson, she didn't perform, which again also irked me because she's a Jackson, of course. There's going to be something weird going on.
Right.
Roxy Music performed with Brian Ferry. Radiohead performed. I'm not a big Radiohead fan. I know
I'm a big Radiohead fan.
Songs.
I don't know like all of their stuff, but I'm a big Radiohead fan. I think they are influential. I think their music's great. I think it's had a tremendous reach and sales, and I think they're great. All right, so
the Zombies performed, and I thought, I don't know many other dun dun dun.
That's a great riff, isn't it?
And then, I think they played 3 or 4 songs, and I knew them all. So I thought, okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
3 of the 4 original members were there and played.
Still alive, wow.
And of course, Def Leppard, they played.
Right.
And of course, the first song is my favorite Def Leppard song, and it's Unterglieben Glauten
Rock of Ages. Yeah, that's Pyromania was so huge, and for me, my friend Don, and it was just huge. All right, so before we get to whatever this mystery bracket is you have, let's talk a little bit about our other favorite thing, which is sports. And so we're now seeing the rumblings of all the major associations and leagues talking about bringing back some sort of season. I don't know that any of them are concrete yet, but there is a NASCAR's this weekend. I think NASCAR's tomorrow at Darlington, so that's the first one. That's, to me, I mean, you're in a box full of metal and plexiglass, so that's the ultimate social distancing, and everybody has to wear a helmet when they're in the pit crew, so that makes sense. They just have to stay socially distanced pit crew, but they probably won't do that. So MLB, I think, is trying to get the union to agree. I know John and I have spoken about this. It's really on the players' union now to agree with whatever they set forth. Something about designated hitter being weird, too. I haven't quite read all the details on that. I should, as much of a baseball fan as I am. I haven't seen anything on NBA, but the last thing I saw on NBA was 30 more days at least.
Yeah.
Yep. And then NHL, I haven't heard anything about. Again, until Canada relaxes what it's going to do, there's not going to be any hockey. So those are the big 3. I don't know what MLS is doing. I'm an Atlanta United fan, but I hadn't seen any news on that. Anything new for you? Dak still hasn't got his contract. Oh, no, they franchised him.
You said everything. They said July for baseball, but again, that's players' union and all that.
Right.
Football could start in I believe they said September, but you and I talked about that last week. How many tests are they going to do? Are they going to test all players, all staff?
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that. I just saw something where they said they're going to have 10,000 tests. Yeah. And so that gets into a social discussion of, well, if the NFL gets, or whoever, I don't remember where the number came from. It might have been MLB, it might have been somewhere. But if that gets 10,000 tests, that's 10,000 tests the community doesn't get, right? Or something along those lines. But I'm not going to get into that. That's probably the discussion. But yeah, the NFL is interesting because that is just all contact. That is all, right? You're sweating and on top of one another and transferring sweat and everything else. So that'll be an interesting part. Baseball, not so much. Unless you do that double play thing where you kill. My dad wants to know what our take on the Brady move is. I suppose we have to refer him back to a couple of other shows. But since you're here, Dad, and I love you so much, I think it's an interesting move.
I love you too, Dad.
I think it's the same. See, this is mutual love, Dad. So I think what I said, Keith, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is the same move that Joe Montana made in the twilight of his career when he moved from San Francisco to Kansas City, and he had playoff success. I think Tom Brady's a smart guy. I think all that voodoo he does with his body is going to give him at least 1 or 2 more years. I'm not sure what the sort of marketing strategy is why he's in Tampa, and I think you might have did that on the episode. But beyond that, I think he's going to get paid a shit ton more money that he did in New England because he always took a break on his salary to help the team get better and win, whatever the 6 or 7 Super Bowls they've won. I think that's what we said.
We can't give John B. a microphone right now.
Yeah.
He's the Patriot fan, and
he's definitely our Patriots expert.
I think, as I said before, his going to the Buccaneers is him guaranteeing he'll be able to play for at least 2 more years. I don't know that he has, he'll play till he's 45. Gronk comes out of retirement, which gives him a safety net.
Right.
He's got Bruce Arians there,
Right.
which is a quarterback coach. He's got
I don't know
Byron
that Gronk's a
Leftwich
safety
there,
net.
which is the heir apparent to the next robot offensive coordinator.
Right.
So he's got a good nucleus around him.
Right.
I think it will be interesting to watch.
I'm more interested to see
that help, Dad?
I'm more interested to see what the Patriots do this season, frankly. The rest of that division still sucks. It's the Jets and Buffalo and who's the other one? God, where am I?
Don't count Buffalo out.
No, I don't, but they still suck. So, I mean...
Miami,
thank you. That's going to be a more interesting division, and it will be interesting to see how they move on without Brady. Brady trying to go for the George Blanda thing here. That's an interesting take. All right, we need to get to your bracket, but before we do, just another reminder, you're listening to this show as a JK with Keith and your pal Jason, and we're available on iTunes and Spotify, and every show we do some sort of bracket, and now what we've begun doing is surprising each other with our bracket. No preparation brackets. So Keith knows a little bit about me. I know a little bit about him. So last week, or on the last show rather, in episode 13, I did an Oklahoma foods bracket, which included animal testicles, and so that was a hit. And I have no idea what he's got here, but he's in his OU sort of jerkin shirt. So let's see what he's got. Go ahead.
I don't know how to take that. Okay, this could have been a 50 bracket.
Yeah.
I had to pare it down. So I will say there are people who should be on this list that are not on this list.
Okay.
Because I tried to be all inclusive. Best comedian.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a suggestion by PJ Pollock. So I like this suggestion, and let's get this done. I am by the way, I just want to say right now, and you don't know this, but I am a stand-up comedian connoisseur, and I
am as well.
So that was a career that I seriously thought about getting into about 2 years into the Air Force, and then I realized that comedians are very prone to depression, suicide, and among other things. And I didn't feel like I was prone to any of the things, so I didn't feel like I was moving that direction. But I did feel my comedy was pretty strong, but I stuck with the Air Force. So my dad says George Carlin is already on the top. So anyway, go ahead.
We'll see. I wrote.
How many rounds have we got here, by the way? How many? 8 or 16?
A bracket of 14.
Okay.
So
14. So there's like a playing game or something?
On what I want to be, and it was stand-up comedian.
Yeah, I was very serious about that. I never pulled the trigger on that. All right, let's go.
Okay. All right. First bracket: Sam Kinison versus Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal is a smart, funny, inventive, brilliant comedian. He did great impressions. He was funny. He hosted the Oscars, and every Oscars he hosted I looked forward to. They were funny monologues. They were well incorporated, the bits they did at the beginning of the show. He's a smart guy. Sam Kinison's trademark is that he screamed at people. And I think he could be funny if you were in that sort of bent where you just had to constantly rage at things. I never really found Sam Kinison funny. He's the sort of funny that a lot of comedians, many types of comedians have now, where they just sort of make loud noises or say ridiculous things that, if they're loud and make enough noise, they're funny. But Billy Crystal all the way on that one.
Okay, very good. And everybody's going to be mad. All the listeners are going to be mad because I left X off.
That's good. That'll give them something to talk about on the page.
My top 3.
It'll give them something to talk about on the page.
Not on there. Joan Rivers. And by the way, these are all stand-up, not movie.
Right.
They may have crossed over, but these are all stand-up.
Stand-up. Good.
Joan Rivers. Lenny Bruce.
This is tough because this was before
You're
my
welcome.
time. Yeah, this is well. I mean, they're both icons of their community.
Remember, Lenny Bruce was the first one to go to jail because of
Lenny Bruce was the first one to do a lot of things. I would say I don't know Lenny Bruce's comedy very well. I know Joan Rivers pretty well because she hosted The Tonight Show. There's a lot of her stuff, stand-up stuff. And she was also a pioneer. She really was one of the first she was one of the first female stand-up comedians to really pave the way for many, many others. And if she hadn't pissed Johnny Carson off by saying 2 sentences, I think her career, she would she would have been hosting the Tonight Show for a very, very long time. So they have both done really wonderful things on both fronts to pave the way for the Janine Garafilos and the Amy Schumacher, or what's her name? Amy Schumacher? I always forget her name.
Schumacher.
Thank you. Schumer, that's it. I'm thinking of Michael Schumacher for some reason. Amy Schumer's and other things. But I agree with my dad. Lenny Bruce made it possible for all comedians to do what they do, and breaking the barriers on language and certain other things that, yes, got him thrown in jail. And while Joan Rivers was breaking the barriers for women, Lenny Bruce broke it for other people, which made it possible for Joan Rivers to exist and others to do what they do.
I knew Joan Rivers was a stand-up, but I came back from, I don't know where I was, and my cousin said, here, listen to this Joan Rivers. I said, Joan Rivers? And Joan Rivers was dropping F-bombs.
Oh, yeah.
And,
she's hilarious.
And all, so for those that may be younger and listening, a cassette tape never mind. All right.
A cassette tape is? You're
Seinfeld,
freezing up, by the way. I'm not sure why, but just keep going.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And Stephen Wright.
That's an interesting one. I'll pick Seinfeld, but I guess I'll give my soliloquy on it. I think Stephen Wright is, again, he's funny, and he's smart funny because his delivery and the way he executes and the way he delivers his lines and that monotone and his observation is really, really keen. He's funny. He's Bostonian, John and Dad. I believe he's Bostonian. I'm pretty sure he is. And he's very funny. That said, he's pretty limited. Jerry Seinfeld had the show Seinfeld and makes like $600 million a year on reruns alone. I think he's very funny. I think he has an interesting edge to him, and I just like he said something that, and it's others have said it, but I like the way he said it. He said, "Keep your head up when it's bad, but keep your head down when you're doing good." And I always like that. Just when you're doing good, just keep your head down and keep going. Keep your head up when you're doing bad, and I love how that translated. But he has a nice edge sometimes in his shows where he doesn't usually curse, but when you hear him curse, it's like, oh, he brought that out of the bag, and it's funny. So I think Jerry Seinfeld wins that one hands down.
And like I said, and I'll say through this whole thing, there's a ton of comedians we could have put on here.
All right.
And I know I didn't tried not to slight anybody. I just trying to get a good mix.
No, you're good.
Male, female, different genres.
I gotta find I gotta find the coin. Hang on, just in case we need to do a coin flip. But go ahead.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yep.
And Ricky Gervais.
Wow, that's a good one. Another good one. You can't have everything. Where would you put it? Yeah, that's definitely Stephen Wright. Oh, boy.
I like Gervais. Now, don't get me wrong. Ellen was a groundbreaker and still is.
Still is.
With her show. Gervais just makes me flat out laugh. Another smart comedian without seeming smart.
Yep. Who?
If you saw I don't remember the award show, the name of the award show he did.
Golden Globes.
Earlier this year. Oh, my God. That was so
he's done that a few times.
So cutting.
Yeah. Even Tom Hanks blushed. Yeah, it was good.
Amazing.
So,
oh, yeah. So
my dad surprised me with his answer, but Ellen's funny. Ellen is smart funny. She's worked hard. She's got a great delivery. The things she says, I mean, her jokes are funny. Ricky Gervais is also very funny. I've got 2 of his specials on my media center. I watch one of them actually kind of frequently, and he's very, I don't want to say edgy, but he gets to the heart of a lot of things that not a lot of people don't. This is a coin flip for me. I think both of these guys are titans in the industry.
Gervais is, every once in a while he'll make you cringe.
Yeah,
laugh and cringe.
Yeah.
So
and Ellen can do that, but in a different way. I'll pick, I don't know. I'll go with my dad here. I'll pick Ellen, so you need to flip a coin.
Oh. Okay.
Because I couldn't find the coin. Oh, wait, I got something. All right, here.
All right,
here's this stupid box. You see it? One side says odium, and one side says nothing. All right, I'm going to flip it, and which one side do you want? You'll have the odium side for Ricky Gervais, and I'll take the blank side for Ellen. Here we go. Ready?
Go.
You win. Ricky Gervais goes forward. And by the way, that's how we do things, not democratically, but by chance, But I can't say enough about Ellen and what she does
without a doubt,
for causes, what she does for people, not even causes, just helping people. But she's also very funny. So my hat's off to her. There's a great story about her meeting Carol Burnett, by the way, that I can't remember, but it's very funny.
Who also could have been on this list.
She's fantastic.
I saw a video.
Right.
My dad sent me a video of her.
Right.
Of some outtakes from the Carol Burnett show with Tim Conway and Vicki Lawrence.
Hilarious.
And I laughed.
Great.
I laughed. So,
great crew.
Moving on.
Yeah.
George Carlin.
Stop.
There you go, Dad.
Just stop.
George Carlin and Eddie Murphy.
Oh, no, you did not put those two up against one another. Shit. I would expect that in the later round. I can't believe you did this to me. George Carlin is... George Carlin took Lenny Bruce, honed it, shaped it, refined it. He was a brilliant writer in the 50s and 60s for television shows. He started to become, and I think I'm getting this right, he started to come out on his own in the 60s. He did a lot of his own stuff. He came up with the, what is it, Dad? The 7 bad words, the 8 bad words, whatever it is.
Yeah, the 7 words you can't say.
7 words you can't say, right? So he had that, which is also seminal, and it made the FCC change the laws on television. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy means a lot.
The fuck is Goonie Goo Goo, Russ?
Eddie Murphy means a tremendous amount in my life, and Eddie Murphy is. Oh, man. I pick Eddie Murphy, not giving any druthers to George Carlin. George Carlin is amazing, and especially toward the end of his life, he tried to be more vocal about calling bullshit on everything. And I think his last show, actually, and this is a shout-out to my friend Mike, his last show was in Petaluma, California, and he was on, yeah, he was close then. So, Eddie, to me, it's Eddie Murphy, so...
Hey, if
I would have expected that matchup like as a
age,
final. Shit.
Yeah, if you are our age and you can't quote Raw.
Yeah. Or Golden Child, or Best Defense, or Trading Spaces, or Beverly Hills Cop, or a million other things. Yeah. It's for me. It's Eddie Murphy. I agree. I'm with my dad in heart. But if this is the matchup right now, I still fucking can't believe he did this. Then it's Eddie Murphy, and I hate you for doing it. But well done. It makes for good radio. It makes for good radio.
You're hyping me for more.
It makes for good radio.
This one to me is easy, but I wanted to get in Bill Cosby. As a comedian.
Go ahead. That's fine.
As a comedian, Wanda Sykes, who I think broke boundaries as well.
John, by the way, put the initials of all the bad words in the feed. It's fantastic. I know them all now. I know the T especially. I won't. I mean, we can curse here, but I can't remember what they are. We'll bring them up on another show. Say them again, please.
Cosby.
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes.
It's Bill Cosby. I think Wanda Sykes is very funny, but Bill Cosby is Bill Cosby, I think, and everybody sort of turned their back on Bill Cosby, and understandably so. But there are a number of comedians who are now out who do great things because of their storytelling ability. Bert Kreischer is one of those guys. He tells the story about when I joined the Russian mob. That is Bill Cosby in its finest sense. And there are a number of other comedians who do that. And I don't take anything away from them, and they could say, I wasn't influenced by him, and that's cool. But Bill Cosby sort of did that first. Dad is great, gives us chocolate cake. I mean, there are albums full of that stuff that come from the 60s and the 70s, and for the most part, he knows how to deliver. He writes great material, and it was all very, very funny. I mean, the Cosby TV show was an institution for a very long time. So as a comedian, Bill Cosby is a titan, and he would deserve to move up here. Wanda Sykes is great, and I think she's very funny, but I don't know that I think you needed to find someone else to be on this bracket.
She also has moved on into producing.
Right.
And has produced some great comedy shows.
Right.
First time I heard The Dentist shtick by Bill Cosby,
Oh, yeah.
Smokey, give me
my babies. Smoke out of my babies.
I was in a dentist chair with headphones on. That's how the dentist would get you, not hearing the drill and all that. Anyway,
nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So, all right, back to the other side. This is going to hurt you.
Okay.
Billy Crystal.
Oh, wait. So I'm a little sad here. I didn't hear. So I'm just going to say it now. I didn't hear Robin Williams' name in the.
Stand by.
Okay, go ahead.
Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. That's an easy one. I love Billy Crystal, but I grew up with Richard Pryor. When I was very young, we had HBO in our house, and when my parents would go out and get high and eat barbecue with their friends who would go out and get high, I would sit.
Dad?
I would pat. No, not my dad. My stepfather.
Oh.
My dad was probably getting high too. God bless him. But when they were getting high and eating food and drinking wine and getting drunk and all that and doing weird things, I would sit in the living room and watch television. And Richard Pryor specials were on all over HBO for a very long time. And I essentially was raised on those things on weekends. That and reading Lord of the Rings. I could explain that another time. So Richard Pryor, live on Sunset Strip, Richard Pryor, all of those specials. Another, if you didn't have those memorized as a teenager sort of thing, that was a big deal. So I love Billy Crystal. I think he's funny. I still think City Slickers is one of the best movies ever, but it's Richard Pryor all day and twice on Sunday.
Exactly. And like you, and I think it was Sunset Strip where, I don't remember where he's wearing the red shirt.
Yes.
Okay. That's the first time I saw Pryor.
Yeah.
And I fell in love then.
Yeah.
I was spending the night at a friend's house, and like you said, we were sleeping out in the living room.
Yep.
He said, "Hey, let's see what's on HBO."
Yep.
And immediately we started laughing. We were 10 years old,
Exactly
I think it was.
That and Saturday Night Live was on back then. It's doing the same thing. I've watched it since the Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Lorraine Stewart years.
Right.
And I don't pine for those years, but that's how I was raised. So that's an easy one.
Pryor on Saturday
Yes,
Night
Dad.
Live.
That's how I was raised. You're welcome.
I'm not going to say the words they used, but Pryor on Saturday Night Live with John Belushi, fantastic. Gold. All right. I need to take a drink here. So Lenny Bruce, Seinfeld.
Did we not get to Robin Williams yet? Is he here somewhere?
Lenny Bruce.
All right. Okay.
Seinfeld.
That gives me hope. Lenny Bruce. Again, I gotta put him forward because of, again, he's the man. Now, if we're just talking about being funny, I know very little about Lenny Bruce's comedy. I've listened to very little of it. So if we're just talking in terms of funny, then probably Seinfeld, but then it's not a fair matchup to me. But I could take enough of an anecdotal response from my friends and family to know that Lenny Bruce was pretty funny. So I'll take Lenny Bruce there.
Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Just off the street kind of funny.
Right.
Oh, I saw this is going on. That kind of very droll, except he would drop the F-bomb and get arrested.
As my dad said, funny and raw. He'd say, blah, 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 dick, and then that was,
yeah.
But yeah, funny and raw.
So that's Pryor, Bruce on the left side bracket of our final four.
Okay, so we had some playing
All right.
games. Okay, I got it now.
All right, Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Gervais. I know who you're going with this.
Robin Williams, yeah.
Oh.
Robin Williams was another who helped raise me. I grew up on Mork and Mindy.
Exactly.
I watched pretty much every comedy special he had. I don't know if it was on
the
HBO.
Young Comedian special in 1980.
Yeah.
I still had on videotape until 2000. I was married, so 1998.
Right.
She made me throw away all those tapes. A lot of porn too, but anyway, Robin Williams and the Young Comedian special is just gold. Anything.
Yep.
And I was lucky enough to see Robin Williams perform live at Incirlik Air Base, Turkey in 2001.
So my understanding,
he came with the USO.
My understanding was Robin Williams wrote no material. He did everything pretty much off the top of his head. He had bits that he would go to and he would keep, but he pretty much invented everything as he went. He was the son of a Ford executive, I believe. He's from Northern California. And he had a huge bad cocaine problem, like for a long time, that he couldn't kick. And you could tell from a lot of his bits because he just boom, 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 boom. And you think of, but he was a brilliant actor, right? So he He did Good Morning Vietnam, which Dad just pointed out, and that's incredible. But he was also in Dead Poets Society, Moscow on the
World
Hudson,
According to Garp,
Moscow on the Hudson, and he did some films later on that were also very good. I think it was 8 Second Photo or something like that, where he was kind of a weird serial killer.
Insomnia.
I was telling Dee Dee about that movie today with Al Pacino, one of his better later films, and so on and so forth. So it's Robin Williams every day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, my top 3 are Howie Mandel, which if you've never seen him live,
Howie Mandel is funny.
He's not only funny, but the way he works an audience for material and improvs is just incredible.
You know why he did the glove on the top of his head thing?
Why he quit it?
No, why he started it? Because he was a germaphobe. He used to have those gloves on hand, and he's a huge germaphobe. So. All right, go ahead. We got to get moving.
I forgot who my second one is, but anyway, we'll hurry. Last of the final 8: Murphy and Cosby.
Murphy. Now I can tread on Cosby's later years and what kind of an asshole he was, and to have done the things he had done, and it's regrettable. And but as they used to tell me in the military. One oh shit kills 1,000 attaboys, and that's a pretty big shit. And I have immense respect for his comedy career, and I let him go around. But you're putting him up against Eddie Murphy, who has had like 11 children, but so what? He's got a ton of money. He did exactly what he set out to do in his life, and I can respect that immensely. And he's done it without hurting people to a great degree. He's done it with dignity. I mean, when was it Dana Carvey? No, it was David Spade screwed him on SNL. He never went on SNL until that special about a year ago because he said, fuck you, I'm not doing it. So, hey, whatever, right? Eddie Murphy, yeah, that's easy.
Okay, good. All right. So
and frankly, I think Eddie Murphy's funnier.
Okay, all right. Final 4: Pryor, Bruce, Williams, Murphy.
Good final 4.
My top three are Howie Mandel because of his improv, Pryor because he's Pryor, and Robin Williams. So, all right, here we go. Pryor, Lenny Bruce.
I'm going to deviate here, and I'm going to say Pryor. Again, because of his influence on my life. Because I think, again, of his influence on all comedians and how he was also a good guy, I think, too. Bruce influenced a lot of people. He was funny. But I think I can relate more to Pryor just because, again, I was raised partially on him. And, that just feels right. Pryor goes there. What? What's funny?
Nothing. I was just thinking of a Pryor joke, and that's. Yeah. I mean, that just typifies him. Remember when he burned himself up freebasing in 1980, I think it was. He puts that into his act. He said, "When you're on fire, people get out of your way."
Yeah. I like the one where he's talking about if we were stuck in the theater. He says, "I will eat through people's assholes." And then get outside, and the police will ask me what happened, and be like this: "I don't know what happened. I don't know at all what happened." Hilarious. I mean,
oh God,
exactly.
So many.
Exactly.
So many.
I think the problem with Lenny Bruce is I understand his influence, and I've heard some of his comedy. It was just before my time. So.
Oh, what am I seeing there?
Oh, it's John said Pryor and Heyman said Pryor, so we're good.
Okay. All right. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And Murph.
This is the kind of matchup I expected earlier on with Carlin. I can't decide. I can't choose.
I would go with Williams.
I just can't.
Simply because of the career he had and the impact he's had on everybody. Mrs. Doubtfire, which hit kids.
So did the Nutty Professor.
Now, I will not say Eddie Murphy did not hit kids with Mr. Robertson. But, and of course, what was it, Haunted Mansion or something he did for Disney?
The Nutty Professor. Are you hearing
Nutty
me?
Professor.
Thank you. Then I've been
Yes,
saying
you
that.
said
It must be a
Professor,
Skype thing. Yeah, and the Nutty Professor. I don't want to make a choice here.
Flip a coin. Or don't.
I would pick Eddie Murphy. I know my dad said Williams. John
What?
Baduzowicz said Williams. I would pick Eddie Murphy. I know. I that's what I'm saying. If I put a gun to my head and I had to pick one, it would be Eddie Murphy.
Because
But I would probably.
As a kid?
But that would probably be one of those things because again they most sort of raised me that I would probably let them pull the trigger before I had to decide. But if I were picking, it would be Eddie Murphy. That's tough. That's a tough choice. Okay. Carlin versus Murphy was easier, but that's a tough choice. That is a life-bound, emotionally tied, and rendered choice. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I disagree, but I'll let you go with it because I've had time to think about the bracket and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
When I made it up yesterday morning. Anyway, all right. So that's our final. Pryor, Murph.
Pryor. That was easy enough. I mean, so my top three would probably be Pryor, Murphy, Williams, and in no particular order because they are just that important to me in my life. And that's literally, that'd be my top three. But Pryor simply because Eddie Murphy does Richard Pryor comedy, and that's my dad pointed out, although he said a friend of his, Michael P. Murphy, but Eddie Murphy does Richard Pryor styled comedy. And it's funny and it's his, but it's still Richard Pryor style comedy. And there are many comedians who do Richard Pryor style comedy. And again, he's came after Lenny Bruce and paved the way. And Richard Pryor is just he's one of the people that we did part of his bits on the show today. So, I think that says something about Richard Pryor and his influence. So Richard Pryor is the winner for me, but my top three would be Pryor, Murphy, Williams, and not in that order. They vary. I can think of things Robin Williams did where I go, that's brilliant, and it affected my life and all of that. So, but Pryor's my winner, hands down.
Good deal. I can agree with that.
That was a good bracket.
I like that.
Thanks to PJ Pollock for suggesting it. That was a good one. We were going to get to it, and I was hoping you would pick it up, and I'm glad you did. So that was a good bracket.
And there are a ton of people we could have on the bracket.
Right.
Going back to Abbott and Costello up to Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, but generationally, I think you had the right amount of people. There were a couple of people. See, I don't think Mitch Hedberg even gets in the bracket. I never thought he was very funny. I think he was Stephen Wright on the right drugs, and that was.
Thank you. I don't know if you can see me. I'm pointing right at you.
I can see you.
I've seen Mitch Hedberg's special one time.
Yeah.
My former stepson.
Right.
Told me, you need to check out Mitch Hedberg. Okay,
yep.
We check out Mitch Hedberg. That's Stephen Wright in a younger body.
It's Stephen Wright, yeah.
So
there were probably a few other names that you could have included here. You probably could have seated Kevin Hart somewhere, but I think Kevin Hart very much is very talented, and he has a lot of energy, and I very much respect what he does and his causes and everything, but I think he's doing Eddie Murphy comedy, and I think he would say part of that too, but it doesn't mean he hasn't made a lot of money from doing it, so good for him. But I think there's some others you could have did. All right, we need to get out of here. Great job on the bracket, Keith Stir. And thank you all for participating. My dad said Red Skelton, Jackie Gleason. Yeah, exactly. Jackie Gleason was brilliant and funny and wrote The Honeymooners. And so Harvey Korman, Tim Conway you mentioned earlier.
Conway, yeah.
Many, many others who were very, very funny.
Freddie Prinze.
Prinze. I didn't know him very well, but... Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us live. And again, we'll have the audio program up probably soon if I don't drink as much as Keith does. Again, you could catch us on iTunes. Subscribe there on iTunes. On Spotify, you can catch us here generally each Saturday because this is our life and this is what we do. And you can catch us the audio show. So the audio shows are Tuesday and Saturday. The video shows Saturday only. That's it, unless you got something else.
I have nothing else.
Then that's it then.
I'm tapped out.
Dad, I love you. Thanks for coming. Darren, thanks for listening. Bye, everybody. Bye, John.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.